Well, hello there. Today we're going to talk about running remote commands. And why we're doing that, let's just learn a little bit of command line interface with AWS. So, one of the things with the Learner Lab that you can do is there's a command here, a command line. And so I can actually, for example, run uptime and see information on the server. I know it's small, but I can run other commands too. So I can look into AWS and describe my instances. Let me make this bigger. That's going to drive me crazy later. But here's the IP address, my instance ID, and name. I could add other things here, like I probably should have added the host name. But then it would probably be so long it'd start to wrap, making it big. So I'm going to get back into my SFTP. So I've got onto that before. So SSH EC2-user at, and remember this IP doesn't change, but I don't think I've hit it with the IP address. And because of that, it's going to say, hey, I already know this computer because I had it and then I gave it an elastic IP so it wouldn't change. And now you're trying to hit it directly at the IP. So do you really trust this? Yes, I do. So I'm there. Cool. So I can log into it, just showing you that still works. So exit. I want to show you another thing. So I did uptime on that other command line. That was on the server, the virtualization server. Now I just ran it on my local system. This won't work on Windows, I don't think. It's just not good to run Windows, sorry. So uptime. But what I can do is I can run SSH and I can say uptime. And instead of completely logging in and getting a shell, an interactor shell, it just runs it and comes right back. Now there's some flags we might want to set if we were doing this regularly. And there's some things to run multiple commands. So uptime, this is actually going to be interesting because it runs the first command on the server. It's been up for an hour and 8 minutes. And the second command it runs on my box. It's been up for 3 hours and 26 minutes. Before I record videos, I install updates and I reboot just to make sure things are fresh and hopefully the video's quality will be decent because I won't have all the junk running around from the last of the reboot. I used to try and not reboot Linux and Unix boxes for years. That's not what I do with my laptop. So what if I wanted to run multiple commands? Well, it's pretty easy. We're just going to quote this. And you can see that it runs on the system. In fact, this doesn't have to be the same command. I can do ls and who. So you should be familiar with ls, list the directory contents. So here here's where I ran it. So the first thing was uptime. Here's uptime. ls, this shows the files that I have there. Who didn't list anything because it's who's logged in. Oh, but what we can do, space, ampersand, last. So this just says, hey, who's been logged in? If we look here, and if they're still in, it'll show that they're still in. So here's the times that I've logged in as EC2 user. So cool. Learned some new things, uptime, who, and last. Going to keep learning. We also learned that you can actually run commands and not completely log in. It just kind of kicks you right back out. So you don't have to type in exit after. I hope you've enjoyed this. Now, people in my class, I make them put their key on someone else's system. So let me just show how to do that before I get out. So I'm going to SSH into here. And this is actually really hard for new students. So if I look here, there's a .ssh folder right here. Change directory into .ssh. So I'm getting into it, ls-l. I can see there's authorized keys and known hosts. Often you might not always have those. That's only if you've SSH from there, which I use SFTP to go to itself, so it's going to have itself there. I want to, you know what, we're going to do more authorized keys. So we see here, there's the key. This is the public key that the private key can access. So the private key that associated with this public key can get in. Now, I can just VI authorized keys. And if I'm in here, I can do Shift A and it goes to the end, and I hit Enter, and then I could copy something. I'm just going to copy this and paste it, and then I hit Escape, colon, so look down here, colon, W to write and Q to quit. Now, usually that would be a different key. So now if I cat authorized keys, it has two keys. So this is usually, we don't usually put the same in, but if they were two different keys, now this the private key that's associated with this public key and the private key that's associated with this public key could both log in to that user. So you can add a ton of them. I don't know if there's actually a limit there. It's not always good to. Sometimes we've had accounts for businesses where a business has to be able to log in, and there might be 3 or 4 different people that could upload the files for that business. So better would be each one of them has their own account, but I haven't always done that in the past. It's probably bad on me, but you can put different keys there. Now, it's good to delete your old keys and recycle and cycle through them every so often. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. It's a lot, but we ran remote commands, and we also played with adding another public key, which started us on VI, and I know that's scary. We're going to get to it later. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. See you in the next video.